Welcome back to the channel where I give you my recommendations for streaming movie content that's exclusive to the streaming channels. Today we're going to go ahead and actually take a look at Paramount Plus's Section 31. Now, if you're a target audience for this type of film, meaning you are a Star Trek fan, you are a sci-fi fan, or you're a fan of Michelle Yeoh, I'm going to go ahead and actually say this is a movie that's going to be a background kind of movie. However, if you're a casual, you have no interest in Star Trek, Michelle Yeoh is not your favorite actress, or sci-fi is not really your genre, and you just want to know if this is worth your time, this is one that you're going to want to go and actually skip. Now, stay tuned, and I'll go ahead and actually definitely justify to you how I came up with those recommendations.
You're Section 31. Section 31. Section 31.
Okay, ladies, now let's get information.
Section 31 on Paramount Plus premiered in January of 2025. It stars Michelle Yeoh as Philippia Giorgio, Omari Hardwick as Alok Shahar, and Sam Richardson as Quasi. I realized that I could have totally murdered a couple of those names in there, but we push forward. Okay? All right.
It was a bad plan. You planned things badly.
IMDb has a story like this. In Star Trek Section 31, Emperor Philippia Georgiou joins a secret division of Starfleet tasked with protecting the United Federation of Planets and must face the sins of her past. So there we actually have the premise of it. We got the characters. Let me go ahead and actually determine if I am the target audience for this kind of film. Am I a Star Trek fan? For the most part, yes. There are a couple of iterations of Star Trek that I haven't been a big fan of, but overall, I like the Star Trek universe. I like the lore. I know more than the average fan, so target for that one. Sci-fi adventure, check. Love sci-fi adventure. I'm good with that. Love it. Good with that. Michelle Yeoh, absolutely. Ever since pretty much like most mainstream folks, since Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, been a fan of hers. Seen her a lot of different things on there. I love her acting. She's a winner for me. Omari Hardwick, is actually one that I've actually seen in a lot of different films, and he actually seems to be very much the, if you can't go and actually get Common, you go and actually get Omari Hardwick. That's, if you just like look at them side by side, that's what it is. But I'm a fan of his. I like a lot of different things that he's done, and so he's a good one. Put me on the board for that one. Check. So when I go ahead and actually put all those things together, I am a target audience. This movie is one that they want to go ahead and actually target towards me. So with that being said, you should always know where the perspective of your reviewer is coming from, so you can go ahead and actually really pick up on if this is for you. Okay. If you like how that sounds, do me a favor, click like, share, subscribe. And now let's deep dive into it. Oh, after watching this particular movie, I would go ahead and actually say, the things that it's very similar to or likened to. This has elements or inspired by like Ocean's 11 or like the Suicide Squad, giving you that kind of coming together of like Rogue type of squadron type folks or whatever. Even Rogue One from Star Wars wouldn't actually be a bad one to go ahead and actually say it's like a like. Also, I'm going to go ahead and actually say it's like having those types of movies, but set in this Star Trek universe, and more specifically, either like the Star Trek Into Darkness or Star Trek Discovery, because that's where the character's from. The Philippia character is from Discovery or Into Darkness, that Kelvin timeline. Those are the ones that are going to be more in line with this. If you're kind of like a Next Generation or Original or Deep Space Nine or anything like that, I don't think that this is going to be the kind of flavor or what have you that I would compare it to. I think it's more inspired by some of those latter versions of Star Trek. So the character intros for this were very much cheesy character intros, and they were very good comedy, a little hacky for drama. Okay, so I mean, like, hey, if they meant this as more like a comedy aspect of things, then cool. If you meant it as a drama, yeah, a little much. If you go into this film looking at it as being an action comedy, you're probably going to get more enjoyment out of it. I personally was looking for it to go ahead and actually be kind of like Star Trek, kind of doing the splinter off of like telling like some gritty spy tales with the Giorgio character, and it doesn't seem like that's the way that they elected to go in this. This is a story that's it's largely like a vehicle to allow Michelle Yeoh to reprise her awesome character from Discovery. Like, I love the character. The character is really fun to do, what have you, and fun to like watch her interact with people and things like that. The problem is that in this movie, the motivation is generic and it's very much like a Star Trek episodic type of plot, meaning that they didn't flesh it out enough to go and actually make this worthy of an actual film run. I mean, it did go to streaming, so it wasn't like they put it on the big screen. But even with this, like if you're gonna have a runtime of like 30 something minutes, which this has, a runtime of 90 minutes or so, then you can do more with that and flesh some things out on there. And they really did not do that. They also regress her character a bit, which is kind of disappointing to see. Like she went through a lot in Star Trek Discovery, and they kind of brought her back a little bit. The pacing of this particular movie is all over the place as far as, doesn't know if it wants to be a comedy, doesn't know if it wants to be an action, doesn't know if it wants to be a spy thriller, doesn't quite know when to go and actually pick the pace up or to slow it down or what have you. And it's just frenetic. The dialogue is blah, and the action is very basic. Not that I would say that any action, most Star Trek movies are not known for incredible action sequences or what have you. Maybe Star Trek Into the Darkness and the regular Star Trek starting that Kelvin timeline. Those two are probably like the most action laden, but you just have so much more that you could go ahead and actually do, and just wasn't great. The story and the premise is mostly boring, and it's very substandard for the expectations that at least I had coming into this. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and actually give storytelling for this particular film a C. Michelle Yeoh loves playing this character, and it shows. If you watch her when she's on screen, she's delighting in to go ahead and actually playing, a little bit of slyness, a little bit of flirtatious, a little bit of sneaky, and all this kind of stuff. And you can see that. But like I said before, they've kind of dialed her character back and kind of regressed her a little bit. So in that realm, even the character that she's playing is almost an earlier version of what she was doing on there. And so that I wasn't a fan of. As I said, Omari Hardwick, he's always playing like the same guy in every movie and in all the shows, what have you. And that pretty much works for him. I mean, he does what he does and all that kind of good stuff on there. And I think for those two, the acting is solid. I wouldn't say it's one of their best works, but you could go and actually do worse. The problem is that you kind of you have other people that everything else has to prop up to go and actually make this work or whatever. The characters that they introduce, particularly the ones that are part of the Section 31 or what have you, they have the potential to be really fun, but I don't think that they were given time to breathe. They centered on Giorgio's character so much that she's virtually on the screen at all times through this film trying to carry it out. And there's other times that it kind of flashes back and it shows the earlier version of her. But either way, there's so much depending on her doing things that they didn't take the time to go ahead and actually develop some of these other characters to make us care about them and to kind of feel like, okay, this has stakes to it. This has something that I really care about these folks. They didn't really do that. And so not doing that really was a disservice to the film overall. With everybody else trying to just kind of play off of Michelle that's giving all the lines and giving all the dialogue, giving all the development or what have you, everybody else interacting with her, it just kind of fell flat. And thus, you're not writing a true script that allows for people to really bring in the acting and bring in that personality that makes us care about the rest of them. So with that being said, acting in this particular movie, I'm going to go and actually give it a C. It's just average. Overall, I would say that if this was a movie that you were going to introduce a casual non-Star Trek fan to, they're never going to be a fan of the series. It's not a good one because it's not a memorable plot. It's not memorable performances. It's not memorable action. There's nothing in this story that is unforgettable that you're like, oh my gosh, I really would like to see more stuff in this universe. It's just not there for a casual fan. That's why they should go and actually skip it. As a Star Trek fan of, like, say, Discovery or the Kelvin timeline, you can find this somewhat entertaining because it has tidbits and sprinklings through in there that you might go ahead and actually vibe with. And Michelle Yeoh fans, I think, will get something out of it that you could definitely throw it on and kind of have something to go and actually watch of hers. But the rest of us target audiences, honestly, can probably put this on as a background movie because there's nothing here that's going to go and actually stick out for you. And it's a shame because they almost wasted. So again, background movie for target audience members, for casuals, it's a skip it. But that's what I have for Star Trek Section 31, now showing on Paramount Plus. Check it out.
You're a bad bitch.
We can't trust you with our lives, but here we go.
Somebody's got to keep it lively, right?
Staying for the entire review is awesome. Really appreciate you. If you liked anything on here, go ahead and actually give me a thumbs up. Do that. If you want to, you can share with somebody else so that they know to go and actually watch the review. Or if you're really about that life, go ahead and actually subscribe to the channel because I'm going to go and actually be doing more reviews like this. If you're still not yet convinced, go ahead and actually watch this movie here that the algorithm seems to think that you might like of mine. But until the next time, I'll holler at you. Take care of yourself.
Now that's a happy ending. Or is it? Because everything's over now. And all that's left is you and the infinite void.